This formula, when people really become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time.
Hey there, welcome to our channel. Are you tired of struggling to make ends meet and feeling like there's never enough money to go around? Well, you're not alone. Many people are feeling the same way, but don't worry, we've got some great tips for you today. In this video, we're going to show you how to manifest money instantly using Dr. Joe Dispenza's method. That's right, you heard it. Instantly. We know it sounds too good to be true, but Dr. Joe Dispenza's techniques have been proven to work time and time again. If you're not familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's a world-renowned neuroscientist, chiropractor, and author who has helped thousands of people transform their lives by tapping into the power of their minds. So if you're ready to attract abundance and manifest money instantly, then keep watching. We'll be sharing Dr. Joe Dispenza's powerful method step by step, and giving you some tips and tricks to help you along the way. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. And if you find this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone who could use a little extra cash flow in their life. Alright, let's get started and learn how to manifest money instantly using Dr. Joe Dispenza's method.
You can teach people then how to create, instead of from lack or separation, but create from wholeness, and create from what we call the quantum field instead of three-dimensional reality. When you feel that feeling and it's visceral, no person, no thing, no experience will stand in the way between you and that vision, and you will be initiated by the universe into wealth. All of those cars and homes and whatever that is, there are symbols of what it looks like when a person actually arrives at this concept called abundance. If those things help them to associate with something that creates a feeling of abundance, and they're building their vision board to help them to get clear on their intent, then that's fine, because they're associating objects or things or material things that they'll say, that's when I know that I'm abundant. Other people will say, look, abundance just means that I have more than I need, and I'm happy with that. And for them, there's a feeling that is associated with that. And when they begin to dream about their future, they may see themselves in a scene or see themselves a certain way.
And if you can emotionally embrace who you're going to be when you open your eyes, you're giving your body a sampling of the future. So when you get up thinking and feeling differently than when you started the day, the side effect of that is that you're in a new state of being. Thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body, and how we think and how we feel creates a state of being. So the idea then is to maintain that modified state of mind and body your entire day. And if you can, something unusual is going to show up in your life. That's the law. And it will always come in a way that we least expect, that surprises us, and leaves no doubt that what we did inside of us produced some effect outside of us. And that's when we begin to start to experience empowerment. And people around the world are waking up to these ideas, and they're doing the uncommon, and they're doing it repeatedly, and they're taking a certain amount of power that's been invested in everything outside of them and putting it back in themselves. And I think that's a great honor to be able to contribute to people's lives in that way.
We kind of figured out this formula. When people really become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time, we are pretty much all of a sudden outside the constraints of the Newtonian world of got to do something and get an outcome. And if you can teach people how to linger there without a name, without a face, without a profession, without a family, without a culture, without a past, without a disease, you teach them how to be in this place we call the unknown, right? And you teach them that from that place, that invisible field, is where everything material comes from. And if they could create coherence in the brain, you need a strong signal in the brain. The more coherent the brain, the more stronger the signal.
What do you mean a strong signal?
Okay, let's see how I could say this. When most people, when we look at brains in real time, and we're looking at people's how their mind is working, When you're under stress, okay, stress is created by not being able to predict something that's going to happen in your life, the perception that something's going to get worse or you can't control something, right? So when that occurs, we switch on that primitive nervous system called the fight or flight nervous system, and the brain goes into this very alarmed state called high beta. That means pay attention to the outer world. There's danger out there. But if it's not a predator and it's traffic or your coworker or your ex, this is where it gets to be a problem because it becomes very maladaptive, right? So when we're in that state and the brain is in that aroused state, we try to control and predict everything. So every person, every object, everything, every place, even your body has a neurological network in your brain, right? So as the arousal happens, we start shifting our attention to all these elements, and like a lightning storm in the clouds, the brain starts firing very, very incoherently. And when the brain's incoherent, we're incoherent.
So that's not a strong signal.
It's a static on the wire. That's disconnection. There is no signal.
Right.
So when we're in that state, we're always really looking for the worst case scenario of what's going to happen, because if you prepare for the worst, anything less happens, a better chance of survival, right? So in this kind of aroused state, as we shift our attention to each one of these elements that are known in our environment, the brain starts compartmentalizing and firing out of order. And that is what creates what's called autonomic dysregulation. That causes the brain and body to get really out of balance, right? So in that state, we're over-focused. You know, when you're stressed, you're over-focused on something. You can't stop thinking about it. Our research shows that when you do that, you actually make your brain worse, because you're analyzing your problems within some disturbing emotion, and that emotion is driving you further out of balance. You're actually knocking your brain and body out of balance by thought alone, and you're driving it into these more aroused states, right? If you can teach people to do the exact opposite, go from putting all of their attention on everything physical and material in the world of separation, and instead of narrowing their focus on something material, ask them to broaden their focus and put it on nothing. Well, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but when you put your attention on space and you divert your attention, the act of sensing without thinking actually starts to slow the brainwaves down. Not only slow it down, but all of a sudden cause the brain to start reintegrating, starts to synchronize, right? And so you see different compartments of the brain that were firing out of order start to resonate. They start to communicate. They're all of a sudden synchronizing, and what syncs in the brain kind of links in the brain. So when a person has their whole entire brain firing in rhythm, that's a very strong signal that you can send out into the field.
So when that signal is strong in that position, what can you create from that space?
Okay, but that's only one element.
Okay.
So then the clear intention tends to be a very important element that we have to get down. And the more coherent the brain, the more clear the signal for that intention. So with intention and attention, we could actually make thought more real than anything else. Now, what is that? You're saying, what would it be like to be wealthy? What would it be like to be abundant? What would it be like to have all my needs met? What would it be like to have more than I need? What would I do if I had everything I ever wanted? The answer always is the same. You start giving stuff away. Because if an abundant person is truly abundant, why would they hold on? They would say, I'm not in lack. There's more for everybody.
Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.